Well, today's the day, and I know it's April, whatever it is, and I wish this was an April Fool's joke, but it's not. It's real. First off, I want to thank Mr. Lurie, obviously for changing my life, drafting me back in 2012, and obviously, been here 10 plus years in the city of Philadelphia, changed my life, my family's life, and everybody around me. Secondly, Howie, he's a big part of my success also. Just trading up spots to draft me, and obviously Coach Wash was in his ear during the whole draft process about how bad he wanted me to be an Eagle and how bad he wanted to coach me. And Howie, thank you for that. Don, the president, I just want to say thank you. You've been a big part of, me being here the whole time, and it's been very special. Big Dom, Paisan, always, you're my guy. To every coach, I've been a part of, staff and everybody, it's been important to me, this 12 years, and even back to high school, Coach Woodfalk. I can keep going. Coach Wallace, guys that was so important to me during my career early on. And, and those things that you don't forget, lifetime's a long time. And, I learned that, from a good buddy of mine. And it's true. You never forget those people. You never forget, who helped you along the way, who's still helping you, who still got your back. And so, going into this whole thing, my family is a big part of what I've accomplished. I'd like to thank, everybody that's a part, my family, obviously. We got a couple rows, filled up here. Obviously, Casey, her family's here, friends, everybody flew in. So it's been very special. And so, if I'm forgetting somebody, the support staff, nobody really sees what goes on behind the scenes. The trainers, I can keep them named. I can name a lot of them, but Steve-O, you already know. If I ever need help, I'll be calling you, buddy. So Steve-O and, Tom and, that whole training staff, Shanice, Jerome, Joe, even Mark, when Mark was here, he's played a big part of making sure I got ready to go. The cafeteria, T-Roy, Keish, everybody, Dira, James, Eric, I wish I could name all of y'all, but I was trying to keep this as smooth as possible. The video department, I got to thank y'all, T4, you're always my boy, and, everybody in there, it's always fun and games, but nobody really see what goes on behind the scene. And those guys are, that staff is just as important to me as anybody. That's been around me and knowing, what we put in. So just, it might sound like a script, but, Mom, I love you. And, you're part of the reason why I am where I am today, the success I've had. And, it took a lot for you to get me to play the sport, growing up. And you always said your favorite verse is, I don't want my baby to get hurt. And you had to realize that at some point, you had to let me grow up and be a young man, and you did just that. And I thank and love you for that. To my sisters, Nikki, Bam, and my two grown nieces right here now. Thank y'all for always, having my back and being there, through it all. Monet and Jennifer. I see y'all out there. Y'all always been there, obviously. We all know that my brother played a big part in being a father figure in my life. And, apparently I wish he could be here today, but he's here with me in spirit. And we all know that. Casey, you've always been there the last 5 years. I met you in 2012, and it's always been special. But we've been obviously in the relationship for the last 5 or 6 years. So it's been special. You always had my back. But to the city of Philadelphia, it's been important that, we all seen this day coming. I always knew this day would come with me. And, the city of Philly is tough to play for. And, playing in Philly, you got to have thick skin, especially being drafted in the first round. So to the city of Philadelphia, I thank you a whole lot. I see a bunch of faces right here in the media. You guys are, y'all have a job to do, and y'all always done that in a respectful way, and that's the most important part is, when you're a good player, and the media, it don't matter who you are, good or bad. The media here, it's tough. It don't matter, but they can be good to you sometimes, and you always respect that. But as a pro, you have to realize that, you have to realize that they have a job to do also, and I appreciate you guys, just as much as I appreciate anyone else, because without you guys, a lot of the fans wouldn't know, half the insider stuff that goes on in locker rooms and whatever. With that being said, definitely some special people I really like to thank. Miss Leanne, I appreciate you a lot. And you've always been there since I got drafted. And you always, been there for me. Miss Kathy, who can't make it today. I wish she was here, but, she's always been there. And I always consider Miss Kathy and Miss Leanne as a second mom, my mom away from home. To my teammates, that's always been there for me. You know who you are, BG, Kelsey, Vinny, Lane, and as I said in my thing that I put on the social media, Derek Barnett. The reason that Derek Barnett has a special place in my heart is because that Derek and I we share a similar story, and we often talk about that story, and you can't thank him enough, because two guys right beside each other in the locker room sharing the same story has always been a part of what I've never thought I have in a teammate of Derek. So basically, just growing up back home, Yazoo City, and you never know that I never knew that I'd make it to this point in my life in the NFL, and I appreciate the small town that I'm from, all the people that's there, and just me being able to make it out of Yazoo City. It shows the youth that there's a way out, and that you can make it out. It just depends on what you want to do and how you want to handle it. To Mississippi State, you gave me a chance to go and play my college football career there. And obviously, I was able to play there 3 years in a row. And Mississippi State is home, Mississippi is home, but also Philly is home and has a special place in my heart. This decision was not easy, and I knew at some point in my career it was time for me to retire from the NFL. Is obviously the reason that I'm here today. It comes with a lot of emotions. This game is mentally and physically can take a toll on you, and I've enjoyed it at the highest level. I've been at the highest levels, and at that point I felt like that I've gave this game all I could give. And the game is given to me back. I've been part of the highs, I've been part of the lows in this league, and and I've enjoyed it all. And as a human, you look at yourself in the mirror and you realize, and you ask yourself, is this something that you really want to do? And I told myself, when I make the decision, I want to do it with no regrets, and I have no regrets about making this decision to retire from the NFL. So with that, today is a very special day for me. It's a very special day for my family. It's a very special day for this organization. And it's a very, very special day for the city of Philadelphia. Again, I want to thank everybody that came here to support this. I hope y'all didn't think it was going to be an hour long. But I will open up to any questions.
When you look back at this now, what do you want your legacy to be when people, Philadelphia team and everybody else look back at your career?
Man, when people look back at my career, the biggest thing is I want them to look at the way that I played the game, the honest way I played the game, the way I went out, the way that, they looked at my leadership, even the younger guys. I still want those guys to call me for leadership advice, and that's what I want to be looked at as.
You talked about some of the young guys. Do you feel like that's part of your legacy too, like what they do in their careers going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's part of it, because you got guys when I was young, who led the way for me. Guys like Trent Cole, Cullen Jenkins, and Darryl Tapp. Those guys kind of showed me the way of how to be a professional, how to be a pro, and how to go by approaching things in certain ways.
Was there a moment that you knew you weren't going to come back and play anytime during the season or after the season? When did you kind of feel like you knew it?
Well, just going into the season, was kind of one of those things that had in the back of my head, whether it's maybe my last season or not, and then after the season, I took some time to myself and realized that hey, Fletch, I think it's time for you to go live life a little bit and enjoy like things I'm looking forward to is going to see my nephew play football, going to see my nieces play any kind of sports that they go, and those are things that I'm looking forward to doing, and that was the biggest thing.
How important was it for you, Fletch, to finish where you started? It's very rare. You have people like Jason and you and BG and Lane playing in one place the entire time. How important was that for you?
It was very important, and the biggest thing is the reason I have my entire family here because my entire family was at the draft when I got drafted, so I wanted my entire family to be here when I retired. But it was very important, So to me, it's you just got to realize, and has it set in yet? No, it hasn't, because normally I'm off this time training, but will I miss it? Absolutely, everybody does.
You spoke about how it's changed your life, Philadelphia. What specifically about Philadelphia has done that for you?
Just the impact of the great people that's I've surrounded myself around. That impact of coming from a really, really small town, and at the age of 20, 21 years old, I'm in a big city somewhere I've never been, and Mom told me you can't come back home, so you got to figure it out and grow up and be a young man, and I think I did just that.
You mentioned how your mom, when you first started playing, had the thing about not getting hurt. Your durability during your career, I think you only missed a little more than a handful of games. What do you attribute that to, and how were you able to kind of manage pain management and play through that?
I mean, I don't get banged up too much. The games I did miss is because I just specifically just couldn't go. I think in the first time I missed a game, I think it was my rookie year, I had a concussion. I couldn't go there. It was the last game of the season. Then the next 2 games I missed, I think it was a grade like 2 or 3 calf strain, which I worked my butt off in the training room and come back in 2 weeks. But it was just the way that I trained in the off season, honestly, because I trained with the same guy for a long time, and Dion always told me that less was more. And at first, I didn't understand what he was saying because I was such a young player. But then the older I got, I understood, why he always told me less was more. And, just the way we trained and recovered and the way we approached things in the offseason really helped my durability during the season.
Just to follow up real quick on that, so Kelsey has mentioned how the injuries that they basically played a huge part in him retiring. For you, how fortunate do you feel to kind of get out with never having really a major injury, and how do you feel physically at this point in your life?
I mean, right now I feel great. But I mean, just knowing what you're got to put your body through, during the season, knowing that the pain tolerance is, in week 1 is going to be totally different than in week 14, and you go through it and you go through it and you go through it and you find a way, and that's what football is about. You finding a way to go out there and to try to get the job done right for your team. Everybody around me know that something has to be broke for me not to go play. And then that's the way I approach it, and that's the way that that I always try to be that guy, on Sundays. And sometimes I just tell coach, hey, just get me to Sunday, and then you'll appreciate it. So there's just certain things that you got to know your body. You got a training staff that knows your body, that know how your body responds to certain treatments to get you to go.
You mentioned Derek Barnett, and you shared a similar story, and you never thought you had a teammate in him. In what ways did that show up and support you throughout your career?
So early in my career, obviously my brother passed away, and early in Derek's career, his brother passed away. So I was there for Derek to lean on his shoulder, to tell him that I know what he was going through, to let him know that, no matter what anybody says, it's going to get better, it don't. And just me giving him those few words and the encouragement of just being there for him as always. And he trusted me and know that I had already been through that. And that's why we have so much respect for each other.
For you, Fletch, how much is Shadrick in your mind today?
He's with me. I'm doing everything the way that he would want me to do it, the way that, he would want me to have the entire family here. He would want to be here. So, he's always with me. Obviously, he's tattooed on my forearm, so he's always with me. And, I know he's appreciating that, and he's probably got his chest stuck out right now. How proud of it he is of his little brother, his little big brother.
I'm sure favorite memories, Super Bowl and winning awards. Are there any moments that maybe people wouldn't know what happens behind the scenes that you really will stick with you when you look back upon your career?
There's so many moments that's going to stick with me. Obviously, we've always had a great locker room. I've always liked, kicking it with the boys in the locker room, hanging out, between meetings and practice, after practice, just things like that. I think that's the biggest part that I'll miss, being able to, go around and joke around with adults all the time. And at the same time, we got a job to do, when we go to practice and also, getting ready for the game.
Is the Hall of Fame something you've spent any time thinking about, and would that mean a lot to you?
I think me and Howard just talked about that. I got to get in the Eagles Hall of Fame first, so that might help me. But obviously, yeah, that's something that I think about. Apparently, it's all in everybody else's hands right now. But hopefully, one day, a few years from now, is putting on a gold jacket, and I'll be looking forward to it. And I'll have the same exact family here, and then we all be celebrating.
How early in your career, Fletch, did you realize you were that level of player?
I think probably after I made like my first Pro Bowl. The year I should have made it, I didn't, which always happened. In the second year, I went on to make 6 straight. So, at that point, I felt like I could be a really dominant player. And, obviously, a lot of people just kind of, some games I would just take over the game. And then I realized, like, man, like I can be really, really good at this, So yeah.
At what point in your career did you realize the impact that you had on the city, the team? You could see your impact come back to you, or at least realize that how much you meant to the place.
I realized that, at the point where when I was in the room, it was when I was the guy, right? When I was kind of had to be the leader in the room, and then my attitude had to affect everybody else around me, but the city had an effect on the city. I think honestly, like year 4 or 5, I kind of flew on the radar a few years and had some solid years, but then the biggest thing for me was just stay consistent and just continue to get better.
Kelsey mentioned he played with very few players that would succeed regardless of scheme or philosophy or coaching, and you were one of them. Did the game come easy for you at times?
I wouldn't say it never came easy. I had a teammate who's now head coach in the NFL, D'Amico Ryans, and his words to me is, you don't let a scheme reflect what kind of player you are. He said, great players find a way. And that always stuck with me, no matter what scheme we was in, no matter where they told me to play, 4 technique, 2-eye, 3 technique, move to a 5, it don't matter. He said that you don't let that determine what kind of player you are. And he said, you just go out and dominate and do your thing, and they'll find a way for you.
Fletch, you thank the video guys, and there have been some moments in your career where you're mic'd up, and it's all films, it was entertainment, and fans have really responded to some of the moments when you're mic'd up and you and BG are having those moments. A, who's going to keep BG in line without you there? And then B, what is it like to be on the field with him for as long as you were and when he's like that?
I think we'll have to give Big Dom a mic. Big Dom going to keep him in check, or, put like a buzzer or something on him. Every time he starts talking, just buzz him and it vibrates. So
What are your plans post-career?
Right now, just taking some time to myself right now. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, everybody know I'm a rancher, not a farmer. But I do a little ranching, and honestly, just making a slow transition to life. And hopefully, obviously, I'll be back around here. A lot. Just trying to still help younger guys just develop, and just work on their game. But in the meantime, I'm just having some peace. And again, I get to go enjoy watching my nieces and nephews play sports, and grow up, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Have you spoken to any of your former teammates who have retired about what it's like to make that transition, and what kinds of advice have they shared with you?
Just don't get in a rush. Some guys, obviously me and Trent are really, really close. And Trent say, hey man, like you take your time, you do what you need to do, take your time, make sure you have a clear mind, making sure you have that slower transition to life, right? Because things are going to be different. I have a lot more free time, and to be smart with whatever decisions you're making, as if you were still playing, because obviously your name is still attached to the NFL, because it was still, you get in trouble, it's still going to come up as former Eagles, player or whatever. But just being smart, making a slow transition, whether it's, moving south, staying here, or just figuring it out.
Think back to the 21-year-old who came in 2012. How are you different now?
A lot different. Obviously, just growing up and having to become a young man a lot quicker than I had to be, because obviously I was a professional football player at the age of 21, right? So at that point, I try to give advice to a lot of the young players, say like, you're not in college anymore, and you just have to take that advice from them, from your peers, obviously, and just be smart about any decisions that you make.
Fletch, in 2 weeks and 2 days, the Eagles will make it on the first-round pick. What advice would you have to that person walking in Philadelphia first time?
Come humble and ready to work, because it's not easy here. Got to have thick skin. The media is, the fans love you, media love you, but the biggest part is making sure you come in with a clear mind, a humble mind, and be ready to be around some really, really good teammates and good coaching. Again, I want to thank everybody that showed up, coaches, my family, everybody, Howie. Thank y'all.